Well, this would be the first ride of the year where most of the players in Montreal were going to be there. And since Joe had decided that his 1150 GS wasn't quite up to the task, he was going to come along in the sidecar of the Ural. In sidecar terminology, Joe was going to be the monkey. Now, he'd had some problems with the 1150, the suspension's pretty much burned out, the rear shocks kind of collapsed, so he had decided not to keep punishing the poor beast off-road. So we pulled into the Tim Hortons parking lot and waited for the rest of the boys to show up.
Freezing, and then finally after a certain point I started getting warm, so I thought I was starting to get hypothermia.
Now on this particular Sunday morning, the temperature was hovering right around the freezing point, so we were quite happy after our hour on the highway to walk into Tim Hortons. And yes, that tasted just as good as it looked. And it wasn't but a few moments when we were joined by Henrik, which meant, of course, the mighty DR must be outside. Chris arrived shortly after, late as usual, and our little quartet was complete. Now, if you've been following our videos, you might wonder, where did this Ural come from? I've actually owned it for a few years. I don't usually bring it on the Awesome Players rides because it's not a great mix with the other bikes. I can't fit down a narrow trail. The highway speeds we like to cruise at, the Ural is pretty much running at top speed. But in this case, because Joe was effectively bikeless with the kind of collapse of his 1150 suspension, I decided to bring it out. It's the Riley Special Edition, as you can see. And if you don't know what a Ural is, it's basically a Russian knockoff of a 1950s BMW, 750cc, flat twin, 4 forward gears, 1 reverse. The sidecar wheel also has engageable 2-wheel drive. The whole thing is made out of steel, weighs about 700-800 pounds. Chris, as you can see here, has been trying to practice his wheelies. So with Joe safely tucked away in the sidecar, we decided to head down to our old stomping grounds, the Scotch Road. One of the things to keep in mind is that in our neck of the woods, in the spring, there's tons of sand and fine gravel on the roads because it's used for traction in the wintertime with the snow and ice. And then the road, of course, turns to real gravel, and that's where the Ural is quite fun because you can slide around and get into the loose stuff, and you don't fall down. When we got to the actual bumpy part of the road, which was pretty muddy as well, it was a lot of fun. Not only was it fun sliding around the Ural, it was also fun just watching Joe getting bounced about 2 feet out of his seat. All of a sudden we're coming down this straightaway and I can see that there's a washed out culvert, so I hammer on the brakes. And I hear a horrible noise behind me. And when I turn around, it looks like Chris almost rear-ended me, got too heavy on the front brakes, and laid the HP2 down.
Chris! What the hell happened?
Luckily, Chris was okay. The only casualty was the Machine Art Moto headguard. It cracked. There was a bad batch of these guards, so the plastic was not made with the correct material, so they would fail pretty easily. But the guys were good about it, and they have since sent Chris a new set, and those have taken a ton of abuse. Now, in disgust, he had thrown it into the swamp here, and of course...
Always pack out your trash!
And we always do. We were just about to head back onto the trail when we realized that after a crash like that, it was probably a good idea to give Chris's bike a very thorough and comprehensive technical inspection.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here.
So with the inspection done, we decided to carry on.
So how is it in there? Pretty bumpy.
I had installed that horn for my kids to play with, but it seemed to work equally well for a 50-year-old man. Now, riding the Ural is quite different than a motorcycle on a road like this. On a motorcycle, all you've got to do is find that little 6-inch wide strip where there's no rocks, no ruts, but on the Ural, because it's a 2-track vehicle, you've got to kind of drive it more like a car. And because I don't have a skid plate on this, I would tend to favor letting Joe hit the big rocks, and I would take the smooth ride. We showed up at the little sand pit, and I decided to see if we could power our way up the little sandy hill here in one-wheel drive.
Nice, we almost made it.
There was no way we were going to make it.
And of no big surprise, in one-wheel drive it just wasn't going to happen. So stuck the Ural in reverse.
Out of control reverse!
You can see by the tire tracks that it tends to plow in the soft stuff.
Just plowing.
Rock and roll.
I'm gonna try it in one-wheel drive first.
This is a test.
So without Joe in the sidecar, which freed up an extra 200 pounds, I tried to make it up the hill in one-wheel drive, and when I realized I wasn't going to make it, I decided just to swing around instead of burying it.
Can't do it in one-wheel drive.
Are we going for two-wheel drive?
Two-wheel engaged, baby.
On the Ural, there is no rear differential, so when two-wheel drive is engaged, the wheels turn on a 1-to-1 ratio, and the bike pretty much wants to go straight.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't want to turn, but it climbs.
We strapped a GoPro to Henrik's chest, and now it was time for the mighty DR to show us what it could do.
Baby.
Now, Henrik hadn't been out, I don't even think, once this year, so he was bound to be a little rusty. Now, driving a Ural is a pretty odd experience. It doesn't handle like a motorcycle because it doesn't lean in corners, it leans the opposite direction like a car does. And because of the three-wheel setup, it doesn't really have the stability of a four-wheeled vehicle. In some ways, it's really kind of the worst characteristics of a motorcycle and the worst characteristics of a four-wheeler put into one, but sure is fun. Here we see Chris having a little trouble climbing the hill in one-wheel drive. Chris has got a K60 on the rear, so not the greatest traction in the sand. Now Henrik was nice enough to let Joe jump on the DR and take it for a spin. Now Joe is also pretty rusty. He didn't do much riding last season, and he hadn't done any this year. Then we got Chris to mount up on the Ural. Now if you've never driven one before, it's best to kind of proceed cautiously until you figure out at least the basics.
Boy, am I ever rusty. Listen. Woo! Side.
But Chris was confident. He decided to try the hill climb.
He put his foot down!
When you first start riding the Ural, it takes a while to get used to all the gear shifts because you've got your 4-speed with your left foot, and then on the right-hand side you've got two-wheel drive engage, as well as another gear shift for forward reverse. And all of them are a little hard to get into gear if you don't have the technique down. So I decided to give Chris a hand here. Now the first gear on the Ural's not very low, so you got to use a lot of clutch in quite a few situations to get it rolling with 40 measly horsepower. Here we see Joe chasing Chris up the hill.
Nice!
I was trying to get the close-in shot, but I didn't want to hit you. I think I got in tight enough for that shot.
I think you got in pretty darn fucking close.
Woo!
It's hard to make this thing.
Yeah, there's a little body in this. Okay, put it.
I think we should watch Joe spill again in slow-mo.
The thing is, it's running so nice. It's just bad riding by me, but the bike's running great.
Now for Henrik on the Ural.
Pin it!
Tovarищ!
Hey, some wheel spin. Oh, daring water crossing. Oh, a left-hand turn. Woo! With some power slide. Oh, there he is. Hey! Whoa! Jesus. Henrik's getting back at me for all those DR rides I took. You see what he did? He started tipping and he automatically turned left.
I know, it's funny.
Right into the lake.
Enjoying that. He is.
He's a former Soviet blocker. It's in his blood. Oh, here we go.
Now what we saw Henrik do there is a very common mistake that newbies on the Ural make. On the bike, when it leans towards the sidecar, everybody's confident, but when it leans away from the sidecar, you instinctively want to turn left, as if it was a two-wheeler.
That thing in the water, it was the holy shit, and then fuck it, gas.
Yeah, because when you start to feel it go the wrong way, you instinctively turn.
Where is the neutral?
Okay, Joe.
Then it was time to put Joe on the saddle of the Russian beast.
Okay, so it's in gear, I think. I don't know. Anyway, give it some gas. Steady.
Go!
I'm scared. Joe off to a gutsy start.
I want to see Henrik do the same thing.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, he's doing the I'm gonna shit my pants reverse lean. Yeah.
I guess you can take comfort knowing that you can't really roll when you got the sidecar downhill, right?
No, you can, yeah,
I mean, you can, but it's harder.
Yeah.
Now everybody likes turning left on a Ural because it puts the pressure on the sidecar wheel.
Oh, something the same
Did
thing.
not do the rookie mistake.
Things get a little trickier when you want to turn right.
Oh, bastard! turned my Russian piece of shit into a steaming Russian piece of shit. Oh, is he going for it? Nope. He's almost ready for second gear. Oh, this will be challenging. You gotta have a little faith on this hill climb.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to the top. Yeah.
Oh!
Stalled it! Give it some gas!
One thing's for sure, it's pretty hard not to have fun riding a Ural in the dirt.
There he goes. Oh, here's Henrik.
On his second attempt here, Joe decided to give it a little more stick.
Looks like Joe actually grew half a pair.
And of course, you should always be very selective when deciding who you lend your bike to.
Bastard! Yeah. Joe! I think you're ready for the hill, baby.
No.
What? You don't think you're ready for the hill climb?
No. I don't think so.
Ah.
Ready?
Well, Henrik was ready to lend me the DR so I could get a little two-wheeled fun in. That DR I find, climbs amazingly well. I mean, you don't have the same power as on the 800 or the HP2, but it's got enough, that's for sure. And that lighter weight sure makes it less of a handful in the loose stuff. Second gear seemed like a good choice here. And if you don't have that big bike power, I mean, if you've chosen the wrong gear at the bottom of a hill, you don't have the same flexibility to just whack on the horsepower. I decided to try one of the steeper climbs I don't normally do on the 800. And when I realized I couldn't make it, it was a lot easier on the DR to just veer off. For those of you who don't think riding a dual sport is exercise, I can tell you, you can work up a pretty good sweat. My only real complaint with the DR is that it just feels cramped. I know I could add some handlebar risers to make it fit me standing up better, but just when I'm sitting on it, I just find the whole package just a little too small for me. Chris decides to ride his own bike here, which actually fits him a lot better than a DR. All he needed was a little tug to get him over the top of the hill. And then Henrik jumped back on the mighty DR.
Don't do that.
At this point, we decided it would be fun to stage some action shots. The two bikes climbing together. They were instructed to try and spray as much dirt as possible. Take two. Seems the HP2 is a little better at throwing dirt than the DR. Then Chris decided to take a little rest.
Chris, don't fall down! Watch out!
Not too spectacular, but let's go to Chris's chest cam. Love when you see the old cylinder head digging into the ground there.
Okay.
Then we buried the camera in the sand, and we wanted the boys to pass by as close as they could. Nice. Now this is where it helps if you've got long legs, if you're going to be muscling around an HP2 and the loose stuff.
Okay, well, you go first.
Now on the next take, I asked both guys to get a little closer to the camera.
Nice, he ran right over the camera. Nice job. Good job, Henrik.
Over the last few years, we've put those GoPros through a lot of abuse, and they just keep on ticking. The only one we've ever had fail was when we had one outside of its waterproof housing and we got it wet. We do try to use them with the non-waterproof housing just because the audio is so much better. As soon as you stick it in that waterproof box, the audio is really muffled. While when it's outside the waterproof box and it has what they call the open back,
I heard some noise.
you can actually pick up people speaking quite well.
Mine was.
Of course, on this take, the camera wasn't rolling. Now Joe figures out how to turn the GoPro on, and we decided to get some Ural action shots. Kind of fun to see both tires kicking up a rooster tail. Take two. You can see the front tire here. When it's in two-wheel drive, it just does not want to turn.
Did you get that?
Do it again.
No way.
You were going just as we switched cameras.
Now let's take a look at those in slow-mo. Nice. Now we decided to get Joe suited up for the HP2 and throw Chris onto the DR, so we decided to move one of the cameras over to Chris's helmet.
Hold on.
Is it rolling?
DR destruction, take one, it's rolling.
Now if I feel a bit cramped on a DR, you can imagine how Chris feels. And I don't think he's used to having that little horsepower. Needed a little more speed. And I don't think he's used to the handling either. Joe finally gets rolling on the HP2. Plenty of power there, maybe not the greatest amount of rider. Joe's still trying to get the HP2 rolling. I decide to head up, give him a hand. Chris, meanwhile, was having a good time on the DR. Then on this little hill, Joe didn't have enough speed, got into the throttle, and buried it.
Here he comes.
I decided I'd better check how excited Henrik was about someone else riding his bike.
Scrotum cam! Joe's not having much luck.
The bike is stalled.
I think he needs a bigger bike.
Meanwhile, Chris seemed to have figured out how to ride the DR. Joe, meanwhile, was having trouble getting the HP2 unstuck and was working up quite a bit of a sweat.
I can't believe I got stuck on a HP2 on this little hill.
Somebody's nice enough to lend you their rather nice bike, and this is how you repay him?
Chris drove by and didn't offer to help. So it was up to Joe and I.
I was actually much happier being the monkey.
Should we pull this fucker out?
Now, of course, when someone lends you a bike, you must treat it with the utmost care, as if it was your very own.
Let's move the front there. That's a nice rock. Hey, go on, you hold up. Get on that motherfucker.
Once Joe figured out how to start it again, things went a lot better.
Neutral, side stand, clutch. Kill switch. Kill switch. Get on.
Ah, it sounds sweet. And at that point, I think Joe had just about enough riding for one day, as we can see by his massive speed here.
Joe is whipped.
Chris, meanwhile, was taking out his frustrations on the DR.
Hopla. Are you okay?
He too was getting a little tuckered out.
That's tiring. All right, it's all yours. Thanks.
You ain't gonna go up that way on the bike, that's for sure.
We were all getting a little tired, but Chris had just enough energy for one more fall on the mighty DR. Then we missed the fall, but Henrik tipped over.
I'm sending my top man.
All right, Joe's going.
He's not available. We're sending Joe.
We'd been here for quite a while, and I think everybody was getting a little tired.
Here we see the other players coming to the aid of their compatriot, reluctantly, of course. Joe's now running to his friend's aid. Chris, because he's actually related to Henrik, is proceeding at a more leisurely pace. And of course, it's not that Henrik can't lift the bike up by himself, but after the Tim Hortons coffee this morning, he's barely maintaining bowel control, so he doesn't want to do any heavy squatting. Oh, hey, 3 grown men can lift a DR. Yes, who knew? Oh, is Henrik's camera rolling? What?
Sadly, Henrik's GoPro wasn't rolling, so there will be no slow-mo. We asked Henrik to crash again, but he was unwilling.
Okay, Henrik, let's do it again! Yeah. You bastards!
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh, daring water
nice
crossing.
one.
Right through the middle! He won't do that, will he? Come on. There he goes. Go!
Oh, yeah.
Go!
Woo!
Oh! Here we see the form that has put Henrik in the top 7 in the awesome players. As soon as we get that 7th member.
He actually grew over the winter.
Daring hill climb.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, nice. Oh.
Yeah, that part's a little.
Oh. Oh. Nice.
Good recovery.
Yeah, very good recovery.
No one noticed.
Now, dig a hole. Oh, he's engaging the little-known DR reverse gear.
That is called the hind lick.
Putting it in. Here we see the delicate clutch technique that made Henrik so popular on the dating scene. Oh. For those of you who don't know, oh is Hungarian for oh shit. Holy fuck.
Doing good though. Yeah. The anchor technique.
Yeah, he's using the whatever that is, the side slope shimmy. Pioneered.
Slide. Avoid
Yeah.
the big rock.
All those tango lessons are paying off. Through the water! We need a finale shot, come on! Can't have a movie without a money shot. Ah! Toolkit.
Woo! That's his face.
He is. Here he goes. He's got it.
Yeah.
All the an entire
Lose it! Hello, baby.
Give her! Oh, nice little spin. Jeez, an entire winter of drinking and looking out the window has really paid off for Henrik.
Through the middle!
Yeah. Through the middle!
At this point, we were tired of waiting for Henrik to give us our spectacular water crossing shot. So we bolted a couple of GoPros onto the HP2, did a little hand clap for audio sync, and then sent Chris and Henrik off. Now the plan here was that the two of them would ride together and splash through a deeper part of our little puddle, and this would give us this nice closing shot for our little sandpit action sequence here. They headed over the hill to get ready when Henrik noticed his front wheel was crooked.
Is it? And hold the wheel? Hold the wheel? Yeah.
So just like on a kid's bicycle, you hold the wheel between your knees and you straighten her out.
Okay, let's see. Let it go. 3 more.
One more? No?
Yeah, maybe 1 more.
Now this is done to a very high standard of accuracy.
Good.
All right.
Right, so I'm following you.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Joe and I are wondering what's going on.
What the hell are those douchebags doing?
I don't know, but something in private, apparently.
They've been over that hill for quite some time now. Both bikes appear to be idling.
I heard one scream.
There might be some inappropriate man-on-man action happening over there. We're not quite sure.
Ah, there we go. Got honkage.
Here they come. Woo! Okay, get out of the way.
Not super spectacular, but everything looks better in slow-mo.
Not bad.
It didn't look like we were going to get anything more spectacular, so we mounted up and started the ride home. And out on the dirt road, this is where the Ural was really in its element. Always good to have a lot of communication between the rider and the monkey.
Oh yeah, this is a big one.
On this steep downhill, the handling got a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I tried to.
Now, one thing about this whole ride that was kind of interesting was that it really reminded me, here we were driving around in this very low-tech green military-style vehicle, and can't help but remember that 30 years before this, almost exactly 30 years before this ride, Joe and I were both getting paid to drive around in low-tech green military vehicles with matching green outfits on, and yeah, it was fun. It's a kind of a whole different type of motorcycling when the person you're riding with is not sitting behind you, they're sitting beside you. I had thought about selling the Ural, but I'm thinking now, if I can, I guess I'll try to hold on to it. And for the simple machine that it is, it ran really well today. I think it likes the cold weather, like most air-cooled bikes. So off we went, Chris practicing his wheelies again, and we pulled into beautiful downtown Saint-Eugène, and finally Fort Saint-Eugène, where we were greeted by the hounds.
Henrik, how did the DR do today?
DR did well, and miraculously nothing was broken. I have all of my turn signals
Nice.
in the right places.
Did anyone else crash your bike today?
Well, let me think. Chris crashed it twice. I crashed
Four
it
times.
4 times?
Yeah, you weren't always watching.
I see. I crashed it twice.
I had one.
You had 1.
How many crashes did you have on the DR?
Pretty much every time I took it out.
Okay.
So we're only maybe 12?
Maybe 12 crashes. So it stood up to the test pretty well.
Excellent. Chris,
Fuck, my phone keeps doing this, turning off.
Hi.
how was it out there today?
It was good.
How did the old HP2 stand up?
Fantastic. The Machine Art Moto head guards, not so much, but that's no fault of the HP2.
Now, how many
Or
times?
the rider.
How many times have you jammed on the front brake while following Riley?
I've
and
done that
crashed?
twice now. It's a bad habit. I don't know if it's Riley or if it's me following too close. I suspect it's a bit of both.
And how many times did you crash this thing today?
2, 3, 4? Almost 4, I think.
That's not bad. 4 drops?
4 drops.
I saw Joe drop it twice.
Yeah.
Twice?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe.
Really? You dropped my bike?
Yeah. Well, I kind of dug it into a huge hole.
Yeah, that wasn't a drop.
No. But we did drag it on its side.
It's kind of used to that. Let's see.
It's rolling.
This was home though, right? For your
Yes.
tree?
This was the maiden voyage of the Ural. Machine and rider.
Off-road. Made an off-road voyage for the Ural.
Yeah, let's see it from closer.
And the Ural did not fall over once today.
No,
It
it
was
did
the only
not.
bike not to fall over today.
He was the extra weight in the sidecar.
I would like to also say that Joe makes excellent ballast. He has finally found his niche in this world.
Is that true, Joe?
That's true, and strangely enough, I feel like I've had like a prostate massage.
Wow.
Shakes a lot.
Of course, he felt like that before I picked him up this morning.
All right. Well, we can see the dirt. Ooh. We can see the dirt even over the fender.
Yeah, because some a-hole drove it through the pond.
You have no proof of that.
Oh, we do. So is that music?
As far as spring refresher rides go, it went pretty well. All the machines made it home, nobody got hurt. Everybody had a good time. Of course, if you have any questions at all about anything you think we might have an answer to, about the bikes, the gear we wear, or how we put these videos together, don't be shy, drop us a line. If you'd like to follow what we're doing, please subscribe here on YouTube. You can also hit the like button if you like the video. We have our website at apormc.com, and most of the activity these days seems to be happening over on our Facebook page. All of these links are in the video description below. We've heard from and met, at least virtually, a lot of interesting people from all over the world, so we look forward to hearing from you. And thanks again for watching yet another Awesome Players Off-Road Motorcycle Club adventure.